Welcome to Miss Scarlett, the place to be feminine. Subscribe and enjoy. Theo's hands trembled slightly as he hung up his girlfriend's floral summer dress in the back of their shared closet, carefully tucking it behind his button-down work shirts. His heart raced, palms clammy with nervous sweat. This hidden corner had become a sanctuary for the steadily growing collection of women's clothing he had furtively been acquiring over the past few months. He stepped back, staring at the feminine garments peeking out between the masculine facade of his side of the wardrobe. Delicate lace, silky fabrics, skirts that swished pleasantly around his knees when he dared to slip them on in stolen private moments. Each piece called to a deep, unspoken part of him, a secret yearning to express a different side of his identity. A floorboard creaked behind him. Theo spun around with a startled gasp to see April standing in the bedroom doorway, her green eyes wide and curious. I'm just organizing some things," he stammered, cheeks flushing crimson as he quickly shut the closet door. "Did you need something from in here?" April tilted her head, auburn waves tumbling over her shoulder. "Just looking for that blue sweater I thought I left in there. But Theo, was that a dress? Do you have something you want to tell me?" He swallowed hard, gaze darting to the floor. This was it. The shameful secret he had desperately tried to keep buried now laid bare. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I know it's weird and wrong. I never meant for you to find out." "Oh, honey, no." April crossed the room and took his trembling hands in hers. "You have nothing to apologize for. I was just surprised, that's all." Theo blinked back the sting of tears, still unable to meet her eyes. "You don't think I'm some kind of freak? A man isn't supposed to want to wear women's clothes." "Says who? Gender norms are made up anyway." April squeezed his hands reassuringly. "If wearing those clothes makes you feel good, then there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. I love you for exactly who you are, Theo, including this part of you." Hope flickered in his chest like a tentative flame as he finally looked up at her tender expression. "Really? You'd be okay with your boyfriend prancing around in dresses and skirts?" April grinned. "More than okay. I think you'd look amazing. And I'd be honored if you trusted me enough to share this side of yourself." She tugged him towards the closet again, opening the door. "Now, let me see what you've got hidden in here. Oh, this polka dot number is adorable. You have to try it on for me." For the first time, excitement replaced the usual rush of guilt and fear as Theo accepted the dress from her. Maybe with April by his side, he could finally begin to embrace and explore this piece of his identity. Over the next few weeks, Theo slowly allowed himself to integrate more feminine clothing into his everyday outfits, with April's enthusiastic encouragement. At first, it was just around their apartment. The swish of a skirt while making morning coffee, the lacy trim of a camisole peeking out from under a flannel shirt, sheer thigh-high stockings under his jeans. "You know what would go perfectly with that top?" April said one day while he was trying on a ruffled lavender blouse. "Some makeup? We should do a full face together. It'll be fun." Theo hesitated, old insecurities rising up. "I don't know. Isn't that a bit much? People might notice and ask questions if I go out like that." "So, anyone who judges you for expressing yourself isn't worth your time or energy." April already had her large makeup kit spread out on the bathroom counter. "But we'll take it slow. You don't have to wear any of it out of the house until you feel fully ready." He perched nervously on the closed toilet seat as April began applying foundation to his clean-shaven face with a soft brush. "I've always wondered what this would feel like," Theo admitted. "When I was a kid, I used to sneak into my mom's makeup when no one was home. But I felt so ashamed after, like I was some messed up pervert." "Society does a real number on us, huh? Telling boys they can't be soft or feminine." April dusted shimmery eyeshadow over his lids. All that BS about real men is toxic. Being a man is whatever you want it to mean. Theo felt lighter than he had in years as she continued chattering and brushing pigments and powders over his skin. Finally, April held up a mirror with a flourish. There, gorgeous, if I do say so myself. What do you think, honey? His breath caught as he took in his reflection. Smoky eyeshadow made his blue eyes pop vividly. Sharp cheekbones subtly defined with blush and bronzer. Deep red lipstick transforming his lips into a cupid's bow. He looked striking and elegant. Theo hardly recognized himself, but for the first time he felt fully at home in his own skin. Tears welled in his eyes. I love it, he said hoarsely. I feel beautiful. I feel like... me. You are beautiful. April kissed his powdered cheek, inside and out. I hope you see yourself the way I see you. From there, Theo's confidence only grew. With April's support, he began venturing out of the apartment in skirts and dresses, head held high even as anxiety churned his stomach. They went shopping together for more feminine clothes and accessories. He learned to apply false lashes and winged eyeliner with a steady hand. Splurged on a pair of heels that made his calves look amazing, even if he wobbled a bit while walking. April helped him choose a wig, running her fingers through the long chestnut waves. Not everyone was accepting. They got double takes and not-so-subtle whispers from strangers on the street. April's father refused to look Theo in the eye and pointedly called him son. His own parents expressed concerns. But the freedom and euphoria of finally, fully embodying his authentic self outweighed any momentary discomfort. He had never felt so wholly comfortable in his own body, and with a girlfriend who supported and celebrated him unconditionally, the rest of the world's opinions lost their fangs. One evening, as Theo was zipping April into a slinky cocktail dress for a party, she spun to face him. What if, instead of being my boyfriend tonight, you were my gorgeous girlfriend? Theo's eyes widened. You mean, present completely femme? I don't know if I'm ready for that. I think you are, but only if you feel ready. She smoothed an errant curl of his wig. You've come so far, honey. You're already letting yourself exist as your authentic self. This would just be the cherry on top. Theo looked at their reflection in the mirror, considering. He had to admit they made a striking pair all dolled up together. Why shouldn't he get to walk into that party by April's side as his full, uninhibited self? Okay, he said, resolve strengthening. Let's do this. Theo is staying home tonight. I'm all woman, baby. April squealed and threw her arms around him in delight. Yes, you're going to be the belle of the ball. OMG, we can be lesbian girlfriends. Giddiness and nerves warred in Theo's stomach as he touched up his lipstick, but the joy sparkling in April's eyes bolstered his courage. He could do this. He wanted to do this. Hand in hand, the two women strode out the door and into the night. Theo felt radiant, resplendent, his soul settling into place. In April's unequivocal love and support, he had found the strength to become fully and unapologetically himself. No matter what dresses or suits Theo chose, he knew he would always have a partner who embraced and adored every facet of him, masculine and feminine alike. United, they could face anything. The journey had been rocky at times, but oh, so beautiful. Theo intertwined his manicured fingers with April's, silver rings glinting as they stepped into the party and towards the future. His smile matched her crimson lips. He had never felt more at peace, more at home. The ballroom buzzed with chatter and clinking glasses as Theo and April made their grand entrance. Heads turned and eyebrows raised at the striking pair of women gliding arm in arm across the polished parquet floor. Theo's heart pounded beneath the plunging neckline of his emerald gown, but April's beaming presence at his side steadied his nerves. "You've got this, gorgeous," she murmured, giving his hand a reassuring squeeze. "Just remember, these are our people, our community. You're safe here." Theo nodded, taking a deep breath and straightening his shoulders. April was right. This gala was a celebration of queer art and fashion, a space where every color of the rainbow was not only accepted, but uplifted. He had just as much of a right to be his authentic self here as anyone else. A familiar face materialized out of the crowd. Luca, the acclaimed gender-fluid performance artist who had taken Theo under their wing when he first began experimenting with drag. "There's my favorite budding queen!" Luca air-kissed Theo's cheeks, careful not to smudge either of their lipstick. "I always knew you had it in you to rock a look like this. Twirl for me, baby doll." Theo obliged with a nervous laugh, the flared skirt of his dress fanning out as he spun. The layers of tulle felt at once weightless and grounding against his freshly shaved legs. "The transformation is breathtaking." Luca motioned between Theo and April with perfectly manicured fingers. "You two are the diamond couple of the night. So tell me, how does it feel to finally spread those wings and fly? Theo, my dear." Theo glanced at April, her green eyes glimmering with pride and affection, before turning back to Luca with a slowly growing smile. "Honestly, it feels like coming home to myself," he said, voice wavering slightly with emotion. "For so long, I kept this part of me locked away, afraid of what people would think, of losing the ones I loved. But with April's unwavering support, I found the courage to embrace every piece of who I am. And now I feel free." "Lighter than air." Luca clutched a hand to their chest. "That, my darlings, is what we call living your truth, and nothing is more beautiful than that." They raised their champagne flute in a toast. "To be an unabashedly, fabulously you." April and Theo clinked their glasses against Luca's with matching grins. As the effervescent liquid fizzed on Theo's tongue, the lingering tension in his shoulders dissipated. He allowed April to lead them in a circuit around the room, her slender arm threaded confidently through the crook of his elbow. Conversation flowed as easily as the champagne about the thought-provoking art installations, the daring ensembles, the general splendor of an event designed to make every attendee feel like royalty. No one batted an eye at Theo's presence or presentation. If anything, he was met with an outpouring of compliments and affirmations. "Honey, you are serving face tonight!" A pixie-like girl in a tuxedo crowed. "Those legs! That waist! The utter goddess vibes!" Another gushed. "Welcome to the sisterhood, beautiful!" A trans woman in a slinky red number said with a knowing wink. With each interaction, each word of acceptance and celebration, Theo stood a little taller, smiled a little wider, laughed a little louder. Layers of fear and shame shed away until he felt buoyant, radiant. "Look at you, social butterfly." April purred as Theo air-kissed what felt like the 100th admiring new friend. "I always knew the world would fall in love with you the moment you gave it a chance to see the real you." Theo pulled her close, resting his forehead against hers. "I never could have done this without you, you know," he said softly. "Your love, it's like a suit of armor. When I'm with you, I feel like I can take on anything." "Good, because you can." April traced his painted bottom lip with the pad of her thumb. "You're the bravest, most inspiring man I know, Theodore Morrissey, and the hottest woman in this room to boot." Theo started to duck his head bashfully, but stopped himself. No more hiding, no more diminishing his own light. He captured April's hand and pressed a lingering kiss to her palm. "That's only because I'm standing next to you, my love," he murmured against her skin. "Charmer." April laughed, bright and unburdened. "Come on, dazzling. Let's go cut a rug and show these people how it's done." Hand in hand, they swanned onto the dance floor, quickly finding their rhythm as a jazz band filled the room with silky riffs and soulful vocals. Theo let the music overtake him, hips swaying, arms raised, head thrown back in pure joy. For the first time in his life, he was fully, completely himself in front of the world. No walls, no apologies, just an open heart and a soul set free. And with April as his partner, in dance and in life, he knew this was only the beginning of a grand, beautiful adventure. As the night twirled on in a glittering whirlwind of laughter, conversation, and stolen kisses in shadowy corners, Theo felt the last fragments of the fortress he had built around his true self crumble away. Here, surrounded by a kaleidoscope of humanity in all its vibrant variations, he was not an anomaly or an outcast. He was one essential thread in a vast tapestry, unique and irreplaceable. When the band began to wind down, April pulled him aside, her face flushed and glowing. "I have one more surprise for you," she said, green eyes sparkling with mischief and anticipation. Theo locked an eyebrow playfully. "Oh? Do tell, my darling." You'll have to wait and see." She bopped him on the nose. "Let's just say I pulled some strings to make a very special dream of yours come true tonight. A chance to let your inner diva take the stage." Theo's heart stuttered. "You don't mean—" "Oh, I do." April grinned. "Prepare to have your wig snatched, baby. You are about to be the queen you were always meant to be, in front of the most appreciative audience imaginable." Theo clutched her hands, suddenly breathless with exhilaration and a thrill of stage fright. "I don't know what I did to deserve you." "You were born." April stretched up to brush a tender kiss over his lips, careful not to smudge their lipstick. "Now, let's go get you laced up and ready for your debut. The world won't know what hit it." Hand in hand, they wove through the crowd and disappeared backstage, giggling like teenagers sneaking away from a school dance. Theodore Morrissey had arrived at the ball a nervous debutante, but he would leave a legend. And with April's love as his guiding light, his star would only continue to rise.